Yo, what's up guys, Nandra here, and welcome to another video. Now even though this says roomnoxii, this is actually not going to be an Ask Nandra video, but major shoutouts to him, because he asked me a question for Ask Nandra that was so good of a question that it had to be its own separate video. And in the future, yeah, like if you ask me a question that's actually either so long that I have to make it its own video, I will go ahead and do that. Or if it's so good that it deserves to be its own video, I will go ahead and do that 100%. Just because there's gonna be a lot of information in this video, and I hope that you guys all receive it well. Now, I haven't been recording lately because I was kind of sick. I'm still feeling a little bit sick now, but I am feeling better, and I am planning to record all of these videos today because there's so much that I just want to share with you guys. Okay, so to start off with, his question is, he actually had 3 different questions, and I will be talking about his other 2 questions in Ask Nandra, just because again, his questions were the most detailed out of any question, out of any series of questions that I've received in Ask Nandra as of yet, like followed closely by Kieran and Sakia. Alright, so his question is, how can you improve as a player? Specifically, I've encountered many people, current and past, who are unable to process information well, relying on spoon feeding in order to progress. They are actively attempting to learn the game, however, they just do not seem to be able to absorb information. What are some techniques/tips that can help these types of players? Okay, so to start off with, if you don't know what spoon feeding is essentially, getting fed hand to mouth, just waiting for handouts. What I mean by that is stuff like waiting for net decks, waiting for people to tell you, okay, this is what's good, this is what's bad, and so on. And you don't try to actively move forward from that. You're just kind of content with that status quo. Now, I'm not gonna tell you that spoon feeding is straight up bad, but I will tell you that is a hint, right? That's one of those things that obviously, when you're a new player, you should rely on that. However, as you grow more experienced as a player, you should try to move past that, just because if you're always waiting to get a handout, you can never get ahead of the curve. Now, I use this term a lot, ahead of the curve, and what I mean by that is to be way ahead of the latest trends, before they happen. Again, I will always use this example because it's super prominent, but the best example of this is for me with Polyphonic Roar. For Polyphonic Roar, people refuse to touch that for months. Polyphonic Roar has been out for almost a year now. People only just started touching that last season. Or sorry, not last season. Back in Tempest of the Gods. So it's been about 9 months before people start touching it, and I've been touching it for at least 6 months. But yeah, so that's the best example of getting ahead of the curve. Now, because there are so many different ways for me to answer this question, I decided to just go ahead and just write down all of these things, just because I didn't want to actually forget, and I didn't want to actually not show you guys this. So this way you guys can take your own generalizations from this. But I'm just gonna go ahead and go down each one. There are actually 9. The 9th one is ask questions, but I'll go ahead and talk about that as I get down to it. Alright, so the first tip: what type of learner are you? Now, there are 3 different types of learners in the world. There's auditory learners, who they listen by having things said to them, or sorry, they learn by having things said to them. So the people who do really well in the classroom learning, where they like lectures. There's the visual learners who they have to see it to understand it. The phrase "seeing is believing" is very, very real here, and these are the people who they're gonna do well when they watch streamers do it. And then there's the last one, which is the kinetic type learner, which is the hands-on do it yourselfer. Now these types of learners are gonna learn the best when they actually physically do it themselves. Now, going from here, there are 3 ways to kind of offset this. It is important to remember right now that when you're trying to learn something, especially like a video game, the best way to learn, in my opinion, is to find out what works for you and stick to it. What I mean by that is, obviously, first off, you want to find out what type of learner you are, and then from there you want to try to use the medium that works the best for you. So if you're an auditory type learner, watch a lot of streamers. I will go ahead and in the description below, I will go ahead and leave a bunch of really really good streamers that I like that make a lot of like good plays, and they go ahead and they like illustrate why the play was good, why the play was bad, etc. For the visual learner, well, you can go ahead and you can just keep watching my videos, I guess. But no, seriously, for you guys, for both the visual learners, it helps a lot to like read forums as well as to just, you know, see something in practice. Now, thankfully for the auditory and visual learners, you guys can both watch streams. However, for the kinetic learners, it's going to be a little bit more difficult for you guys. For you guys, what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to like find a mentor. Now, I know that's kind of hard. However, or rather, I know that's kind of strange / difficult. However, there are actually a lot of people in this game who are actually really good at this game, who are actually willing to mentor you if you just go ahead and be like, oh, hey, can you help me? And this is what I need you to help me with. Now, if the mentor is good, they're not just going to give you everything on a silver platter just because, like, sorry about that. Just because that would defeat the purpose. They're gonna make you work to learn these things, and that's okay. You should be happy with that because it means that like that when you actually do learn, that you're gonna like learn quite a bit. And on that note, I would like to take this time to go ahead and mention that I do actually mentor people now. I was kind of on the fence about doing it. However, a lot of people kind of like talked me into doing it, so I decided to start doing it. I'll go ahead and be talking about that in a separate video. But yeah, that is something I do. All right. So for the next step, it's going to be reviewing walkthrough games. Now, you might think game review is boring. It's not necessary. You're not going to learn anything from it, but you actually do. The reason why is because there are certain things that you see, and there's certain things that come to your mind in the heat of the moment of a game that you kind of like look back and you're like, oh, well, this was a misplay because I maybe like overreacted to this, or oh, maybe I could have done this instead, or maybe I could have like played around this, or something like that. It's really important to review all of your games, even the ones where you win, and especially the ones where you lose. The reason why is because like in the ones where you win, you can see why you won it. You can see why you won, and that helps for two reasons. I'll go ahead and talk about that in a second. But for the games where you lost, you can see why you lost. Now, to me, a loss gives me more information than the win, because I can see what I did wrong, and I can kind of like work on myself to correct in the future. Like, for example, one thing that I've noticed for me as a player is that I have a tendency to play around with my opponent. Because sometimes if I end up in situations where it's like very, very difficult for me to lose, and I'm like massively like just like so far ahead of my opponent, and I sort of like subconsciously like make a lot of very questionable plays, such as like, for example, I was actually versus a shadow player I think 2 days ago, and me and the shadow player legitimately refused to evo for 15 turns. We just never needed to. I mean, there are a few turns where I probably should have, but I was just like, nope, just not doing it. And as a result, I think I either lost or came dangerously close to losing that game. And it was a game that most likely, if I had evoed, I could have forced the game to traverse a little bit more, and I probably could have ended the game a lot sooner. But yeah, and then for the good part of reviewing your games, reviewing the games where you win, those are really good, just because like they help to counteract the natural bias that people have, just because like when you lose a game, people are naturally focused, they're naturally built to kind of focus on the bad things in their life instead of the good things. And so by reviewing the games where you won, you can kind of like give yourself that mental like pat on the back, and it'll help to like balance you out, so that way you're not like tilted as you're watching the games where you lose. So it's a good back and forth. All right. So for the fourth one, it's going to be take screenshots of difficult turns and ask for second opinions. Now, this is actually really important, because like every game in Shadowverse, for the most part, it's going to be different. You're going to run into different situations that other people may not have run into. the best example of this is I've legitimately lost to every single meme that this game has to offer, and I guarantee you no one has lost to as many memes as I have. Which I know sounds really fucking bad. Yeah, which I know sounds really, really bad. However, as a result, there's certain things that someone like me will like randomly have access to in terms of screenshots that other people may not have access to. And of course, this works both ways. You might have something that I might not have seen before, and it helps to get like second opinions, just because like everyone plays out the game differently, and as a result, like you're gonna be able to kind of like pick the minds of basically whoever decides to respond to your picture. If you just kind of like post in a forum, if you just kind of like ask a bunch of friends, yeah, like it works out really well. Because like one thing that I have noticed is that for the most part, generally, if you're not like a dick or anything like that, people are actually really responsive in forums and whatnot. Like I know, like for the few Discord forums I'm a part of, like you can post a question and you know for a fact that your question is gonna be answered within the hour or more, or sorry, most likely actually within the next like 5 minutes. It's a pretty feels good, man. The next part about this is it's to study. Now, for this, what I mean by this is that when you find the method of learning that works for you, you need to be willing to commit a lot of time into study, in my opinion. For me personally, it's not uncommon for me to spend like maybe about 6 to 8 hours, maybe a little bit more, just like studying a game. And by that, what I mean is that like not even playing, just just in my case, because I'm like a visual learner, and I learned the best by like seeing things. In my case, what that means for me is that if I can read something, I can digest it quickly, I can understand it, and because I have like a fairly long memory, I can keep it in my head for quite some time. Like there are some things that I've like read from maybe 10 years ago that I still like clearly remember, and I still like remember what the point of it is. I can't quite remember word for word, but I will remember the general gist of it, and that's been like a major asset to me, just because like it cuts down on the amount of like learning that I have to do. But it is going to be super important to kind of put the effort in to just kind of like figure out again what works for you and how best to apply that. Now, for the kinetic learners, again, it's going to be difficult for you, because like physically having to play for that long per day, it's gonna be rough, and you're definitely gonna need a road trip partner, and that of a mentor or just someone to play with. Or not even like play with, but just someone to interact with as you're playing. Like you don't have to be playing with this person, but you do need to be like talking to the person, just because like it can be a very frustrating road, and it really does help having someone to interact with. And I'm usually down, like I said, because I do mentor people now. You just have to like contact me, and we'll work something out. Because I've noticed that like from all like the recent collab streams I've been doing with people, because I apparently do a lot now. I don't know what that happened, but it just kind of happened. But one thing that I've noticed is that even if the person got like particularly, I guess, like salty about a particular matchup, when I was there, they'd be like significantly less salty, just because like there's less to focus on for the most part. What I mean by that is that like when you have two people looking at a game versus one person, it changes things dramatically. Just because like you can both counterbalance your own mistakes, and I think you play better than if it was just like one person playing. I think, provided that both people are like good. Okay, 6. Right. Again, for this one, find a way that the material becomes the most digestible for you. Now, what I mean by this is that one thing that I noticed for me in school is that like the best kind of teachers, they'll give you the information, but it won't just be in a sort of like hand to mouth fashion. It'll be in a way that you can like relate to, and that's what I mean by this. Like just like finding correlations in cards or theories or just whatever it is that you're trying to learn. For me, how I do that is because I've played so many games, and the game that I'm most familiar with is YuGiOh to some extent, because I did play YuGiOh for the majority of my younger years, because I think I played YuGiOh for, let's see, 13 years. Yeah, 13 almost 15 years. I generally, whenever I see a card, I can, again, because my memory is so long, I can go ahead and think back. Okay, well, was there a card even remotely similar to this in YuGiOh? If so, how did that card work? How well did it do in the meta? And that's how I use it. I mean, I also use other games such as Magic the Gathering, Hearthstone, Eternal. Yeah, so it helps to have played like a lot of games. But also, it also helps to have been like in a lot of like real life situations as well. Just because like there are things in card games that you need to know that aren't actually about playing the cards themselves. Just about like your actual like mentality, such as like not tilting, being able to understand like maintaining your collection, and not just like going on like a violent spree and having nothing. And knowing which cards to save if you are planning to save cards. Like there are several different things in your daily life that you can use to make like understanding cards more easy to understand for you. And that is something that I do go ahead and work on with people when I go ahead and take them on as mentors or as mentees. Sorry. Okay, 7. Use free resources. Alright, so this is really important. By what I mean by free resources, which again, that's its own separate video, but what I mean by free resources is that like there are a lot of things that you can use to get better as a player. You can use your friends, you can use streamers, you can use pro players, and it's just really important to just be like active in the community and just talking to people. Like there's a saying, no man is an island, and this is true. Like what that means is that like there's only so much that you can do by yourself versus like how much you can do if you're with other people or if you're like taking strategies and things like that and just like discussing with other people. Like this is different from spoon feeding because like because here you're not just gonna be like asking for answers and be like content with that. No, this is gonna be the biggest thing. You're gonna need to learn to ask the question, and this is probably the strongest question that you'll ever need to know in life is the question why, because you can't physically learn something. Sorry, you can't subconsciously learn unless you're getting the exact questions to what you want to know, and this is where you kind of like. And this is where you kind of like diverge from being a spoon feeder to being like more of an active learner. Is when you ask the question why. Now a spoon feeder, like they're just gonna be content with oh, okay, what's the best deck to play right now, and you just give the person the deck and they're just gonna be content. However, when you grow past that, you're gonna start asking the question why. Why does this work? Why do they play these cards? Why don't they play these cards? Etc. Just because like then you're gonna like engage whoever it is that you're asking, and they're gonna give you like relevant. They're most likely gonna give you like relevant answers that you can use to kind of like get better, because like subconsciously you'll kind of like retain that information, just because like the human mind, anything you hear, you don't actually fully forget it. Like it does get stored permanently in like the recesses of your mind. And if you're just like conscious about like, okay, well, I need to be focusing, and I need to be able to try to like pull up this information, even if you have a terrible memory, and I guarantee you some of my friends have the worst fucking memories ever. you'll still be able to remember enough of it that you'll still be actively like growing as a player. The last thing that I want to touch on is that is that as far as progress goes, it's important that for both progress as well as playing that you don't get tilted. Like Rome wasn't built in a day, and obviously you're not gonna become like the end all be all god at the one day of trying to improve. Like it takes a lot. Like it takes a lot. The progress at times is kind of slow, and you're not really gonna notice until like one day you're just like, huh, damn, I'm getting a lot better. And it's important. It's important to just just like kind of like make your peace with that, because again, like you've got to put time into anything that you're passionate about. Like even if it's a hobby, just because if you don't put the time into it, then you're more or less saying that you don't care that much about what happens to it. But clearly you do. Like there's so many people that I see on like Reddit or on like forums and stuff like that, like who are just crazy passionate about this game. And it makes you sad that like sometimes some of these people just like they don't seem to care about like wanting to learn or anything like that. The last thing that I want to say was one second. It was on the tip of my tongue, I swear it was. Oh, okay, I remember now. The last thing is just being able to just have fun with it. Like while I am adamant about the fact that you're gonna have to like put some time into this if you want to if you seriously want to get better, you shouldn't like take it super seriously. Like don't treat your hobby as like a second job. Like don't you're not gonna have fun if you do. However, it's important to just find good friends and be able to just kind of like study with them and kind of like learn together as a group. Now, one thing. So this is a bit off topic, but recently I started playing Eternal, and thankfully it was a game where usually when I get into games I usually have to start playing by myself, and I just kind of eventually like maybe like find friends if I do find friends at all. Because like for YuGiOh, I played YuGiOh for like I think like 6 to 8 years before I actually found like a card shop where I could like make friends at. For Magic, again, for Magic it was a little bit different, because thankfully for Magic, the card shop that I played at actually had like people who played Magic there, so it was like a lot easier, and it took me less time before I was able to like find friends there. But for Eternal, like it's gonna be a game where I've literally had friends right off the top, just like playing as well, and that really does make a big difference, just because like you're less likely to get super tilted when you know for a fact that there's someone else who's going through the same struggle as you, and that does help out a lot in just like improving your mindset. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. I will probably try to make a longer version of this. Yes, I know that you guys are going like, Dan's game, longer version. But basically just like a more like concise version, and I will try to update this as I go, because this was, like I said, this was a very, very interesting question that I was asked, and even after like I've had this question for I think 2 or 3 days, and granted I've been sick, but even now I don't think I did the question good at the best justice I possibly could have done. So again, I will try to update this in maybe like 2 or 3 months. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think about all these tips and tricks, and if you yourself have any tips and tricks on what you can do to better process information in order to get better as a player for both Shadowverse or any card game at all, down in the comments below. And thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you guys next time. See ya.